Good morning and welcome back to BIFA Link TV, your daily dose of industry information. Today we're joined once again by Ian Matheson, and as you can see, he's feeling very victorious. So I will just warn you, he probably will mention it at least 10 times. So Ian, I think I already know the answer, but how are you doing?
I'm pretty good, Brooke, I have to say. And I know you don't like me talking about football in what the papers say episodes, but this week I just can't help myself after the Crystal Palace saw off Man City in this year's FA Cup final. You know, as I sat in Wembley Stadium, I couldn't help think that there is a freighting analogy in this victory. It's often repeated that the freight forwarder, the small to medium-sized freight forwarder, is about to die, and I've always said that's grossly exaggerated, as of BIFA for that matter. And the victory of a smaller club against a global giant shows that if you can get a decent CEO to build a real team that embodies energy, passion, and commitment, David can emerge victorious against Goliath.
I know you've managed to sneak it in there, but I'll let you off just this once. But I know that our SME members, which I know that we've got a lot of, I'm sure that they'll appreciate that analogy.
Yeah, well done to the Eagles. And if it was a big week for Crystal Palace, it was also a big week for BIFA with the return of the Trade Association's National Conference after a two-decade gap. The conference went extremely well, with many great speakers who gave up their time to share their knowledge with the attendees. And the after-dinner speech from Chris Akabusi, that's going to live long in the memory. What a
Yeah,
life he's led, and
yeah.
he shared it with such emotion and energy. One highlight for me among the many was the visit from the MP Stella Creasy, who spoke and took questions on the UK EU reset discussions. I think they were due to start as this episode was being filmed. And she made a good point. She politely told attendees that the freight industry is not doing enough to get its points across to government.
Yeah, I know that, as you know, Ian, it's something that's quite high on BIFA's agenda, especially for this year. So hopefully we can fix that and get some more of our points across.
Absolutely. And another thing that is set to fly higher are container shipping rates after the US and China governments agreed to slash reciprocal tariffs. The shipping lines are expecting an early peak season on the Trans-Pacific eastbound trade especially, and they've announced surcharges of between $1,000 and $2,000 per 40-foot container. During the 90-day grace period of reduced tariffs, US importers are expected to front load to avoid potential hikes once the window closes.
Yeah. And I know that the container index that supports that as well. I think it was up 8%, wasn't it, last week?
That's right, 8% to $2,233 per 40 foot. And it also showed on the Shanghai Los Angeles leg, it increased 16% to $3,136. And the Shanghai New York leg climbed even higher. It was a 19% gain on the previous week to $4,350 per 40 foot.
Yeah, well, as you know, when one trade does something, they all kind of get impacted. Like you say, when one sneezes, they all catch a cold, eh?
That's right. So whilst the Eagles' beefer and ocean shipping
Exactly.
rates appear set to continue to fly high, that can't be said for air freight. Well, not if a recent article on the Lodestar website is correct. Last week, the publication reported that Andrew Matters, the IATA Director of Sustainability and Economics, told delegates at the CNS Partnership Conference in Miami that its 6% air cargo prediction for 2025, which it made in December 2024, is unlikely to be repeated at the Airline Association's AGM in 2 weeks' time.
Yeah, I know that the Lodestar said that that forecast that they initially had it set to fall, isn't it? Especially, they've had a rocky couple of first months, haven't they?
That's right, again, Brooke, yeah. And in the UK's parcel delivery market, it's set to be transformed by the announcement
Mm.
that DHL e-commerce is merging with Every. It remains to be seen, of course, whether the UK's Competition and Markets Authority will question a potential combined UK B2C market share of around 14.9%, possibly higher in some subsectors.
Yeah, yeah, of course. I know that our members that are kind of active in that sector, I know that it's one that they'll watch quite closely, isn't it?
Okay, yeah. And finally, Brooke, according to Transport Intelligence, in the European road freight sector, their contract rates index fell 2.3 points quarter on quarter in the first 3 months of 2025. Spot rates actually fell more sharply by 3.8 points. However, year on year, the spot index was up by 1.6 points and the contract index rose 0.4 points. Sorry to be boring, but there's a football analogy in that news too. As a result of winning the FA Cup, Crystal Palace will be on the road in Europe next season, competing in the Europa League. It's the first time the club has qualified for European competition, Brooke.
I think we'll end it there. I think you've managed to sneak the victory into every story. So before you go on about it anymore, we're going to end it there, I think. But thank you so much, Ian, as always, for bringing all of this and Crystal Palace's victory to our attention. The links to everything that we've discussed will be in the description below. That's all for today's edition of BIFA Link TV, your daily dose of industry information.
Up the Eagles!